And in sight, very clearly for Eskom's woes. Now, to help us unpack this latest power crisis, we're joined in the studio here at eNCA, DSTV Channel 403, by Tshepo Kgadima, who's an independent energy expert. Tshepo, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday View on eNCA this hour. When you had this latest news, what went through your mind as an energy expert? Did you go like some of us say, oh, there we go again, no surprise?
Well, certainly not surprised. I think it is to be expected, and it's to be expected for a long time to come, as long as the management philosophy that currently prevailing, as well as the energy policy approach that this government has adopted, continues.
Could you touch on a few points before you carry on? Firstly, it is to be extended for a long time to come. So are you saying this kind of blackouts are going to be with us for quite some time?
This kind of blackouts are going to be with us for a much longer time to come. And there are a number of factors that bring about that very
You've mentioned management
situation
as one of the issues.
Yes, absolutely.
What with the management of this that's causing the problem?
Well, the current executive management as well as the board that are there, we know that they've been there at least for 2 years plus. And in that time period, they have not been able to demonstrate that they have got both the capacity, the knowledge, and even perhaps the capacity to comprehend when they are given technical reports by engineers. Eskom has got very good engineers on the ground, but whatever input that they make in terms of reports and in terms of what are the solutions, one thing is very clear: the management that is there as well as the board don't have the capacity to comprehend. So as a result, we have this situation in place whereby a very large portion of the fleet of baseload power stations of Eskom are either taken off for regular maintenance. That should be expected. It is manageable. The problem lies in what they call it unplanned breakdowns. In the first instance, there is no such thing technically called an unplanned breakdown. It's either a breakdown and therefore there can't be unplanned maintenance. It is repairs. And that is where really the problem comes, because to date they've not been able to address what are the root causes of these breakdowns. Because if you can address the root causes of the breakdowns, South Africa should not at all be having the...
In your view, before we speak about the policy level, because you've mentioned that
Yes.
as well in answering my first question from a government perspective,
Yes.
as far as breakdowns are concerned, what are these things that the current leadership at Eskom should make sure are in place to prevent them from happening or preempt them from happening?
Look, there are two things that they need to do. First and foremost, they need to burn the coal that they receive correctly. They are not burning it correctly. So whenever there is a breakdown, and they are very hesitant to tell us on what exactly in a power system breaks down, you find that it is the boilers that are breaking down. The reason why their boilers are continually breaking down is not because of the age of those boilers. It's just simply that the manner in which they were calibrated to burn the coal in the manner that they're supposed to, they are not operating them in that particular... So they are running at much higher temperatures. And when you speak to the engineers on the ground, that is the problem that they sit. So the power plant managers don't have a real-time line of sight as to what is happening in the boiler, where the fire is. And as a result, the higher temperatures in those boilers are causing boiler tube leakages. And those boiler tube leakages in turn then have got a snowball effect, because you can't operate your turbine correctly.
Is it something that can be prevented?
It is something
just by regulating the temperature?
It is something that is preventable. First and foremost, you need to have people on the ground as well as management that understand the geophysics as well as the geochemical properties of the coal that they are currently burning. And that's certainly something that we've been advocating for, those of us who are in the know, saying they need to pay particular attention to that. This has been a problem, by the way, as early as 2015, when they were using inordinate amounts of diesel. That is what we warned against, to say, go back to the basics in terms of your boiler operation procedures.
So there are things that can be done as long as there's a comprehension by the engineers and their feedback is taken to heart by management. Okay. In the 2 minutes we've got left now, Tshepo, You mentioned policy and government. What is it about that has led us here currently that we're sitting with these new blackouts?
Okay, South Africa supposedly has got 6,600 megawatts of renewable energy installed. That is the chief root of your problems, because renewable energy requires 100% backup. And 100% backup therefore means that you need to back up your grid to maintain the grid stability. If you do not have a grid stability and you feed intermittent energy into the grid of South Africa, the risk is more increased that you will have a total blackout. And a total blackout will take anywhere between 21 and 28 days to bring the whole power system back up. That is a catastrophe for South Africa. So the policy of introducing renewables at all cost is a cost that we can ill afford, more so when we are not the highest emitter of CO2 in the world, as has been purported. For example, Germany or most of the European countries are burning coal, and right now Germany is doing double the amount at 820 grams per kilowatt hour, whereas our power stations are emitting 301 grams per kilowatt hour. So you can't say that we've got a problem. They are also using gas. We don't use gas, but that gas, they are emitting 490 grams per kilowatt hour. So we can't be a highest polluter, and yet from a policy perspective, we are told that we have to shut down the baseload power stations to introduce intermittent energy, which only exacerbate energy poverty.
I guess from that comment, I need to hear you on this one. This COP26 deal that's been announced of 131 billion rand just the other day has been welcomed by some of your colleagues in the energy field, energy experts, because the country will be transitioning from coal-fired power stations to these renewable sources of energy that you're talking about. Is that therefore not the way to go, although it's going to be a process? Do you welcome it yourself?
It is not evident as to exactly what they are welcoming. In the first instance, we don't know what informed the 131 billion rand equivalent in terms. We don't know what informed that, and exactly what is that going to go towards. And secondly, in terms of the manufacturing of the components that will go into the alternative energy solutions. So effectively what you are doing, we are once again exporting jobs, because the fabrication, the engineering is going to happen in the European countries to bring imported capital equipment here for that power, which in any case, because of its intermittent nature, is not reliable, it is not dispatchable. You need energy on demand, not energy as and when it is available. So therefore it is a non-starter, and we should never even have gone that route. As I say, we are not the highest emitter of CO2s. But if we changed and installed a different technology, cleaner coal technology of circulating fluidized bed boilers, we would reduce our carbon emissions from 301 to 108 grams per kilowatt hour. Therefore, that is the solution. That is where South Africa needs to be going to ensure that we continue to take advantage of the abundant coal reserves we have, retain the jobs that we have instead of destroying jobs and increasing the cost of electricity as we've been doing.
Tshepo Kgadima, thank you very much for your insights. As usual, he's of course an independent energy expert. We're talking on the back of the latest round of blackouts as announced by Eskom today. And also he was sharing his views about what could be the best way forward in terms of a country that is not the largest emitter of those noxious gases.